Hello and welcome to Life Beyond the Numbers, the podcast for people who are curious about how to have a more fulfilling work life. We live in a world largely driven by numbers, logic and reason. But how we feel at work and about our work impacts us, our organisations and society. There is a relationship between the numbers of our organisations and the life beyond the numbers. I'm Susan Minefields, your host. I've lived and worked in many countries. I've met people who love what they do and people who don't, people who bring their full selves to work and people who won't. But one thing that I've learned that is common to us all is that we are all unique and have unique experiences. And it's helpful to know that there are others who think like we do, or have had struggles too, or have gone where we want to go, or can show us things we didn't know. So join me and my guests as we place a lens on the human side of work life by sharing insights, stories and strategies to inspire you to let your uniqueness shine through. Hello and welcome to episode 142 of Life Beyond the Numbers, and this episode is going out on Saturday, August 26th, 2023. And I'm recording this at just after 6 o'clock on Friday, August 25th. It is the start of a long weekend here in the UK. The kind of end of summer holidays, bank holiday weekend, and it has just started pouring rain. Anyway, it's good for the flowers, I guess. We have had our fair share of rain this summer, and I know there are many countries around the world who've had little to no rain. We've had lots, very little sun. Well, it has been nice this week. It's been warm. But that autumnal feel is definitely starting to creep in. And I go to CrossFit, as you'll know, 2 mornings a week. I get up at 5:45. And this week, for the first time, and I went 2 mornings in a row, Wednesday and Thursday. And on Thursday morning, it was noticeably darker first thing in the morning. It was like somebody turned a switch on Wednesday night and made Thursday just that little bit darker. However, it's still August. It is still a lovely time of the year, and there are still 6 days remaining in August, thankfully. 6 days I'm going to make the absolute most of. I'm in the final stages of writing this beta draft, the first draft of the manuscript, and absolute panic set in last Monday. And panic isn't really something I feel very often, so it was quite an interesting thing to work through. And I did, and I made a plan, and it's all about the focus now. Focus on finishing the book. And yeah, the week has gone okay. I mean, it has. I've definitely made progress, and I'm gathering momentum as I go. And what was interesting was I woke up Thursday morning, and I can't say for sure whether I was dreaming or I was awake when this was happening, but I was definitely writing a chapter of the book in my head. And when I woke up, it was right there. I went to CrossFit, I came home, and I wrote that chapter. And what I had come up with was the beginning, the ending, and the piece that tied 2 disparate pieces. I mean, they're not this disparate, but two maybe things you wouldn't necessarily put together. And that was kind of amazing. And again, like I say, I can't say for sure whether I was lying in bed awake having these thoughts or I dreamt it. But it'll be one of the chapters of the book. Well, one of the chapters of this draft, at least. So you can probably hear in my voice, I'm a little all over the place. I'm not all over the place, but I am definitely in a different zone and mindset this week. And with 6 days to go, like I say, I'm going to make the most of them. All going well, I'll manage to submit on the 31st. And if not, it will be very, very soon after. And with that, I do hope to get back to normal programming next month. And I have already got some of the episode for Saturday, the 2nd of September, edited. So I'll hope to finish that in the coming week. And for this week, I have one final short story speech to share with you all. And this one was written a while ago, and my thinking has moved on a little bit. I've made better connections between things and everything, but it's enough to share it in this form rather than trying to rewrite it now. And my plan then is next month, for the solo episode, I will actually talk about the challenge of dealing with the inner voices and also the fun of dealing with the inner voices and getting them to work with me and being helpful and so on. So yeah, that was something I thought I might do in the last couple of weeks. I haven't done it, partly, like I said before, I didn't want to give them too much airtime, but also I suppose it's a process, isn't it? Doing anything that you care about and you're working hard on, there's a process you go through. And I've learned a lot about myself in the last couple of weeks, things that work, things that don't work, and also how to, so many things. But let's go to the minefields of Cambodia. That's where I'm going to take you now. And like I said, all going well, next Saturday, September 2nd, I'll be back with a conversation. Have you ever walked through a minefield? Not a metaphorical one, but a real one. I have, twice. First time was in Cambodia, and the second one in northern Iraq. And today I'm going to take you to Cambodia. In 2007, I had just started to work as a director of finance with an international organisation that cleared landmines and unexploded ordnance. And I knew that to really understand the reality of life on the ground as best I could, I needed to walk in the shoes of the deminers. We got to the minefield early, and the team leader sat us down to do a safety briefing. This is one briefing you want to pay attention to. An ex-British Army soldier very clearly laid out the rules of the game. We would get to the minefield, there would be a cleared path, the boundaries of which would be so obvious because it was going to be lined with red tape, and we would stay inside those lines. We would wear safety equipment that would protect all of our vital organs, and we would follow him. He would be our guide, our leader. We would do as he said, no room for error. Off we went and prepared. Although you're never quite prepared to stand at the edge of a minefield. I can tell you now that my heart was pumping in my chest, so loud that it was driving out the thoughts of, what if they missed a spot? And then I paused, dug deep, and remembered the secret ingredient, the one thing that I needed to follow that leader. trust. And with that, I could put one foot in front of the other and follow him as he guided us safely through that cleared path to the other side. What a feeling of relief and euphoria. And of course, a love of accountancy overcomes you. Back to the safety of the office for me. The office, though, is a metaphorical minefield for many of us. And to some extent, they can be a lot trickier to navigate. Now, we're not at risk of losing our lives, and we don't need a clear path, but understanding the rules of the game would help. Boundaries are often invisible. I might know my own, but one foot across the threshold of someone else's might result in an explosion. Our workplaces are a constant on culture. And although it might not be a matter of life and death as you navigate your day, you may well feel you're going into battle. Perhaps you're choosing your battles wisely in the hope of winning the war. All of this stress takes its toll. Are the workers of the world in danger of becoming remnants of conflict? And while we're not in physical danger necessarily, are we psychologically safe? Those of us who feel safe in our teams, well, we can just get on and do our best work. We create, we innovate, we enjoy, we treat one another with compassion and connect with our colleagues. We trust our colleagues, our leaders, and in turn, they trust us. We are empowered and engaged to do our best. And if that's you, then you are one of the lucky ones. You're one of about 1 in 5 people who go to work on a daily basis in an office that feel engaged in the workplace. Engagement is a feeling that you have that enables you to do your best work. So if 1 in 5 feel engaged in the workplace, that means that 4 out of 5 don't. Yeah, they'll show up, they put in the hours, they fight. The battles lead to exhaustion. Some of them are bullied, some lose confidence, self-esteem, self-worth. Some feel they aren't recognised, they're undervalued, nobody listens or sees them. So why on earth would you bother doing your best? Why not just retreat to the trenches, avoid the battles so you can win the war? Their workplace behaviours are the landmines that others have to navigate. They come across as disgruntled, defensive, demotivated, explosive, unhappy, underperforming. Luckily for me, I spent a lot of my career engaged at work until I wasn't, and then I would simply change jobs. I was always on the lookout for that environment, that right environment, the environment that would enable me to thrive. And then one day I thought, instead of going out looking for it, why don't I just help others create it? And so I began my journey with Beyond the Numbers, determined to tackle that 4 out of 5 and reduce it. Together, we can create workplaces and encourage feelings that cause people to do their best work. Trust is a foundation, a building block, but without it, we'll never flourish. Trust requires vulnerability, strength, autonomy, purpose, and being conscious of how you show up in the world. The reality is, of course, that numbers do matter. But a business is a collection of people. And the better people are treated, the better they will perform. And the better people perform, the better the results will be. Numbers don't make decisions. People do. Numbers don't do the work. People do. Numbers don't trust. People do. Who are you going to trust to guide you to that other side? Thank you so much for listening. I hope you've enjoyed the paths we traversed on today's episode. If something rang through for you, be sure to let me know. Or maybe you can share this with someone in your life who would benefit from listening too. And if you enjoy helping others, I'd be so grateful if you would leave a review, so that people who might also be curious about their own life beyond the numbers can discover this podcast too.